Okay, in this video we want to take a real quick look at sharing calendars. So when you go into your Google Calendar, and again you can log in through Gmail and use your Google Apps icon to navigate over to the calendar. You can go to calendar.google.com and log in that way. There's several different ways you can get access to your calendar. Over on the left hand side under My Calendars, if that's expanded, you'll see the one with your name associated. That's your default calendar. Now we talked about you can create as many new calendars as you want. That gets a little confusing, but I know there should also be a birthdays calendar over there by default, and Google might create a third default calendar over there as well. But again, you can create calendars. The birthday calendar that shows up by default, and I've actually removed mine. It actually goes off the contacts in your Gmail account. So if you have the birthday associated with a contact in your Gmail account, it will actually automatically show up on your birthdays calendar that's created. So kind of a cool little feature, I guess. So I'm going to look at sharing my specific default calendar. So this is just click on the little drop-down list here, and there's calendar settings or share this calendar. So we want to go ahead and share this calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and go to share this calendar. By default, it should look like this. That should be checked. And then this should be set to see only busy or hide details. That's the default. Now I know originally we were telling people that they wanted to shut this off. I did find a use for it, so we actually do probably want to leave the default share this calendar with others, and then share this calendar with everyone in the organization. And that will include students. But again, keep in mind they're only going to see the busy and free times. They won't see any details about what event is actually on your calendar, just whether or not you're available. That comes in really handy when you're trying to invite guests to a calendar event and you want to see a time frame, and I'll kind of show you how that works real quick here even in this video. But you can see I've gone ahead and I'm going to go ahead and leave this set this way, but then I've gone ahead and specifically shared it out with Dr. Luce here. And I've said, okay, now she can see all event details. So not only will she see free or busy, but she'll see everything. And then I've shared it out with Jason, same thing. He sees all event details. If I want to change that so they can just see if I'm busy or free, you have the ability to change that as well. If I want to delete somebody that I've added as a share, there's a little trash can right here. And if I want to add a person, so I'm going to share it with Jeff Schaefer. So I just type Jeff Schaefer in here, and there's his add upper valley cc.org account. And again, boom, he's added. And then again, you can choose what they have an option to. Now, keep in mind, the highest kind of level is make changes and manage sharing. Because Jeff is an admin, he's a domain admin, he's going to get that default right to my calendar, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that from him. But let me add Chris. Well, no, Chris is a domain admin too. Let me add Randy Sears. So there's Randy. Okay, so then by default, Randy Sears is added, and he can see all event details. Again, I can choose to just pull that back to the free and busy. Now, if I pull it back to the free and busy, remember, by default, by this default rule, Randy would already be able to see my free and busy. So it really wouldn't make sense to re-add him or to share it with him again for that fashion. Again, he's not going to see anything different. So you would only add people to share with specific people if you're going to increase the default level of sharing. So in this case with Randy, I'll go, okay, you can see all event details. You can see that you can even kind of delegate where they can actually make changes and manage sharing, which means they can make changes directly to your calendar. They can even share your calendar out with other people. The one under that is they can make changes to events. They can add events, delete events, edit events, but they can't share your calendar out any further. And again, if I want to delete someone, just delete them from there. So that's the basics. Once you've set your calendar sharing the way you want it, just make sure you click on the Save button. And I do want to show you kind of why we want to have that default share set the way it is. So again, I'm going to look at that default share one more time here. Share this calendar. This is checked. And then share the calendar with everyone in the organization and see only free busy. That should be the default setting. However, I know that some of you have gone in and kind of taken these check boxes out. You might want to put them back in once I show you the rationale for having that as the default setting. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to just create a calendar event for July 12th. So if I do the find a time, here's where I can start adding guests. And as I add guests in here, if they have events, and I'm not sure if these folks have any events added to their calendars yet, but you'll see they show up over here, and then I can kind of scroll down through. I can look at a day view, a week view, So there's day view, there's week view, but you see how it shows up. Their calendars kind of show up side by side with mine. And again, they must not have anything in their calendar right now, or at least their personal calendar that is under their Gmail account. So if they did, their blocked events would show up in the calendar here. Let me see if I can add. I think Dr. Luce may have shared her calendar with me, so let's see if we can find any events here. Now these are events that, notice the color differentiation. Here's one that Jeff created. It's a test event. Now because I'm a calendar admin, I will see the actual title to the event. I don't see the details or the notes of that, but as a calendar or Google admin for the entire Upper Valley Career Center, I do see a little bit more information than anybody else would get to see. But again, the reason to have that default sharing set is so this find a time. It's kind of like the old busy search that was available in Outlook, where you could pull up other people's calendars side by side, and then if you find a time that's available, you can kind of click and drag, and then you can go back to your event details, and notice it'll kind of put the time and date that I drug over in there that I can go ahead and place a where and make sure that all my guests are added, add a description, and then go ahead and send this, and everybody will end up with this on their calendar. And I kind of know by using the find a time, or at least I hope I can trust that by finding a time that nobody else had marked off on their calendar, I won't run into any type of scheduling conflicts, or I'm less likely to do that. So this concludes the this concludes this training on sharing your calendar, as well as just a brief tutorial on how the find a time would work and why you want your default calendar settings. I'm going to go ahead and discard this. Again, you want your default calendar, which is the name your calendar with your name associated. You want that default setting set to share the calendar with everyone in the organization and see only free and busy. If you choose to uncheck these, then you will have to individually share your calendar with anyone you want to see, and that includes that find a time feature. So that would kind of limit the usefulness of that. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask a member of the tech staff, and I thank you for your time.